Shawn, you're a student of these things. Help us sort out. If you're in Congress, if you're a representative, you're a senator, how much are you affected by things like this? I mean, you don't vote for legislation because you like the president or dislike the president. You vote for it because you think it's in your best interest and your constituents' best interest. Will this really make a difference for tax reform, for example?
You spend a lot of time fielding phone calls on how do you feel about this. So you may go on an interview or talk about something on trade with the NAFTA renegotiation starting today, or on tax reform. And all the constituents, all the people in the audience might ask you about how do you feel about the president's comments on X or Y, or how do you feel about this tweet? So you can't even get to those things you really want to spend your time talking about.
Well, I just think there's a spread, perhaps a difference between what's high up on the news cycle and it's significant, and maybe to what is actually happening down in DC today. Those same congressmen are still going to go to work, and I assume they're going to focus on what they were focusing on the day before. Absolutely. So to that extent, are those reforms going to get through? Is that work still being done?
Congress is there to govern, and they're trying to put all these things together to get tax reform done. As we've written at Barclays through our research side, that we still think by the end of Q1, you can expect to see tax reform on the table. I'm still slightly more than optimistic they can get a deal done. More likely tax cuts, not a broad-based tax reform. But for the president, this process shows me he's trying to win the news cycle more so by putting out these kind of comments, by dominating the news.
I want to bring in Chris Watling. He's a Longview Economics CEO and Chief Market Strategist, and he joins us now from London. For a market participant, it's difficult to try and divorce the emotion from the events of the last several days, Chris, and really focus on the fundamentals, if there are any, down in DC at the moment, and what we may or may not get from Washington. Give me your thoughts, please, Chris.
Well, I think the market remains in this bull market and is largely uninterested in what's going on in Washington, except to the extent that North Korean geopolitics keeps flaring up and could become quite a serious issue. But absent putting that to one side, I think Washington is not much more than an irritant to the market. And you know, I think we've all come to the view that clearly Trump's legislative agenda is going to be pretty de minimis compared to what was expected at the end of last year, the beginning of this year. And markets have just got on with it. Earnings growth is good, the economy is robust, and the trend is up. Now, you know, that's not to say we're not having a bit of a break in that trend short term now, but really I think the market's largely indifferent to what Trump's up to.